Hello, 6th grade students. Today we are going to start the Amplify curriculum. So what I need you to do so that we can start and keep organized is I'm going to have you put your name, your first and your last name on the top of your Amplify consumable. And this is what that looks like. Then I'm going to have you put your first and last name on your journal. I'm going to be referring to both of these items throughout my video. So again, I'm going to tell you this will be your consumable. I'll need your first and last name and your journal, your first and last name on that too, right here in that little box. I have dropped off Sharpies for your class to share. Teacher, I just ask that after you pass them out, check that students have their first and last name on each of the books, and then you will collect those Sharpies. At this time, I'm going to have you pause the video. I'm going to give you about 10 seconds to do that before I continue on to the next section. All right, here we go, students. We are going to go to page 4 of the consumable, and this is what it looks like. Sometimes we need that visual to help us get to a new location. We're on page 4 in the consumable. I'm going to read the overview, and I just need you to follow along with me. Let's begin the year reading all about you. Remember that disastrous first time you had to push through the crowded hallways, got pinned against the locker, and almost suffocated? Or how about the time your gym teacher gave you 1 minute to somehow pull yourself to the top of the rope just after you had eaten those extra nachos your friend didn't want? At the time, those moments just made you sweat. Now they are exactly the moments that can make your audience laugh, gasp, and maybe even fall off their chairs. All you need to do is take a deep breath, focus, and write about what grabbed your attention. So we're going to do a few exercises before we go into the writing. And what I'll need you to do is turn to page 5 of your consumable, and we're going to look at this page. You're going to notice a photo and a question at the top. What's happening in the picture? Whenever I'm looking at a picture and I want to pull out details, what I like to do is I like to scan from the top to the bottom, and then from one side to the other. It doesn't matter which way you go, but that really helps to have you pinpoint those really intricate and those tiny details. And what I'm going to have you do for this exercise is I want you to write around the exterior of this picture words describing the details or even little specific details that you see. I would like you to come up with 10 details, and I know you can do it. I know that sounds like a lot, but I know you can do it. 10 details around the exterior. I'm going to give you 2 minutes on the clock for you to do this. Teachers, after that 2 minutes, I am going to have you pause the students, and they are going to share with an elbow partner what their partner saw. Students, if your partner saw something that you didn't see, I want you to write that on the exterior or perimeter of that picture. It's always great to collaborate with others because they help give you a little bit extra things that maybe you didn't zone in on. After you share with your partner, you are going to come back to the video and we may progress to the next item. So again, you need 10 items, you have 2 minutes, and you'll be sharing with a partner after the 2 minutes. All right, teacher, I'm going to give you about 10 seconds to pause the video before I progress on to the next part of the lesson. All right, students, I bet you came up with a lot of great details that you pulled out of that picture. And thank you for sharing with your partner. It's always great to collaborate with others. Next, I want you to turn to page 6 of your consumable, and it's going to look like this. You're going to do 3 more exercises, just like the first one. But I'm not going to have you do 10 for each picture. I'm going to have you do 5. You're going to get 2 minutes put on the clock. I want you to write 5 details for each picture. After you have 5 details for each picture and your 2 minutes is up, I want you to turn to an elbow partner and you're going to do the same thing that you did before. You're going to share anything your partner has that you don't. You're going to make sure that you put onto the exterior of the picture. Okay, again, 2 minutes, 5 details each picture. After 2 minutes, you share with your elbow partner. Teacher, I'm going to give you about 10 seconds, and then I'm going to need you to pause the video and then I will start to progress to the next part. All right, students. I bet you got a lot of great details again. You guys are going to be such great writers for this next activity. So what I'm going to have you do is you're going to turn to your journal, and you're going to go to page 8. On page 8, you're going to notice that there's 2 sections, and we're going to focus on the first section that says number 1. I want you to think about recent lunches in the cafeteria. I want you to list 3 moments that you notice. And this is going to be in a list format, so you can do 1, 2, 3, and then list out 3 things that has happened to you in your lunch. I'm going to give you 1 minute to do this. After the 1 minute, I'm going to have you share with the person next to you what are some of those moments, and then we're going to come back together. All right, teacher, I'm going to give you 10 seconds to pause my video, and then I'm going to progress to the next section. All right, students. Oh, I wish I could see what some of you wrote for your 3 things that have happened to you in lunch. Lunch is always a fun time that you're with your friends, and sometimes eventful things can happen. So what I want you to do is we're going to go flip back to that consumable, and keep the journal and consumable next to each other because we are going to be going back and forth to each one. I next want you to go down to this picture. You're going to notice this is a familiar picture, and this is one that you wrote details around the outside. So what this writer did, the girl on the desk, is she took those details and she wrote a little story using those details. So let's see what she came up with. I always loved pizza at school, but this pizza looked like it had been run over by a Zamboni. The pepperoni smelled like old wet dog. I wasn't really sure if I should even be touching it, let alone eating it. My mouth began to quiver. Wow, just in that little bit of time, she added some great details. What I want you to do is you are going to go through. I want you to read that again, because sometimes reading something multiple times can really help you understand it. And I want you to read through that again, and I want you to circle any little details that she put in there to make that very descriptive. I then want you to share with your elbow partner what are some of the things that you circled. Teacher, I'm going to give the students 1 minute to circle their details. After that 1 minute, they are going to turn to their shoulder partner to share what they have found. And then you're going to come back. So we're going to go into the next part of our writing activity. I'm going to give you 10 seconds to pause. All right, we're going to flip back to that journal. In the journal on page 8, we're going to go to number 2. I want you to review the list of moments you noticed during lunch. Choose one that you can describe with precise detail. Write 1 sentence using details to begin to describe that moment to the reader. All right, so what I want you to do is you're going to go back to this journal, and I want you to write for number 2. Okay? Teacher, I'm going to have you put, let's do 2 minutes on the clock. For students to write, students, make sure you have a capital at the beginning of the sentence and a period at the end, because we are going into more detailed writing. Teacher, I'm going to give you 10 seconds to pause the video, and then I'm going to keep on going. All right, students, what I want you to do is we're going to flip back to page 9 in the consumable. You're going to notice this green box. We're going to read through this. This is some student mindset, and these are some writing rules I want you to think about when you're writing before we go into the little final activity for today. Student mindsets. Follow along with me. I want you to take academic and social risks. Write about one thing that grabs your attention. I want you to read carefully and observe closely and share what you think. Share your classmates the impact they are making. Show your classmates the impact they are making, and write with the reader in mind. Read with the writer in mind. We're going to flip to page 10. We are going to go into our final activity, and I'm going to read the rules for writing. So follow along. It's going to be that orange square. Use the whole time to write. Ask for help once. If necessary, then continue writing. Keep focused on your own work. Don't distract your classmates. No talking, trips to the water, or surfing. All right, so your final activity is going to be taking place within your journal. You are going to write. We have spent a lot of time observing and reflecting on all kinds of moments in the cafeteria. Can you reflect on your own moment from lunch? So I want you to go back to page 9, and I want you to write in more detail. So you already wrote about it on page 8 for number 2 with one sentence. I want you to elaborate on that, just like the writer did with the slice of pizza with the girl making the face. I want you to elaborate that, add detail, and really take your time writing. Look at how much writing and room they have, these lines, all those lines. I want you to do your best to fill up those lines with your writing. Add a lot of detail, take your time. I want capitals and periods for each sentence, and this is a time for no talking. Teacher, I would like to give students, we're going to go with 10 minutes on the clock, and I want them to take those 10 minutes to write about that moment in lunch and really expand on it. All right, thank you everyone for participating today, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.